On the vast North American continent, there was only one place where the relentless expansion of the 19th century frontier was not just halted but pushed back. That place was Texas, and the force that stood unyielding against colonization, shaping history with unmatched power, was the Comanche tribe. Born into the sweeping plains, Comanche boys learned to ride and hunt almost before they could walk. By their teenage years, they were fierce warriors, hardened by the land they called home and driven by an unbreakable spirit. Their strength came from an almost mystical bond with the horse. To the Comanche, the horse was more than a beast of burden. It was freedom, speed, and survival. They rode not just to hunt the mighty buffalo, but also to wage war, defending their territory with a mastery unmatched by any other tribe. At the height of their power, the Comanche swept across the southern plains like a force of nature, clearing all before them. They fought not just for survival, but for the pride of a people tied irrevocably to the land, the sky, and the unyielding spirit of freedom. They were warriors of the plains, unyielding, proud, and unforgettable. The Comanche were a force forged by the harshness of the plains, where survival demanded unyielding strength and relentless will. Their raids struck fear into settlers and rival tribes alike, driven by the unspoken law of survival in a world ruled by conflict. In battle, adult males were killed without hesitation, a brutal necessity in a land where mercy meant vulnerability. Small children, unable to endure the hardships of captivity, often met the same fate, while older children were taken to be assimilated or enslaved. Women faced unspeakable horrors. Some were killed, while others were taken captive, their fates sealed by the merciless code of the frontier. Captives endured relentless suffering. Some were tortured in ways designed to break both body and spirit. Ritualized punishments meant to demonstrate dominance and send a message to all who opposed the Comanche's rule. Many tribes chose flight over confrontation, abandoning the southern plains rather than face the relentless Comanche onslaught. The Tonkawa tribe nearly vanished under this crushing force, with a few survivors later becoming scouts for the U.S. Army, driven by necessity to fight against those who had almost erased them from existence. To understand the Comanche is to glimpse a harsh world where war was both survival and identity, a brutal reality etched into the history of the plains, shaped by fire, blood, and an unyielding will to endure. Long before American settlers set their sights on Texas, the Comanche had already carved out an empire across the southern plains. They ruled with unmatched power, turning vast stretches of prairie into their dominion. For the Spanish colonists and Plains Apaches, life under the shadow of the Comanche was a relentless struggle for survival. The Lipan Apaches bore the full brunt of Comanche fury. Their homelands were overrun, and after years of brutal conflict, they were driven westward into the harsh deserts of New Mexico, Arizona, and far west Texas. What was once theirs now belonged to the Comanche, a people whose will could not be broken. But not all tribes opposed them. The Kiowas, recognizing both strength and opportunity, forged a powerful alliance with the Comanche. Together they hunted the buffalo and waged war, forming a fearsome coalition that dominated the plains. To the Comanche, power meant survival. They reshaped the land through strength, ensuring that their legacy would be forever etched into the story of the American frontier, a legacy built on alliances, warfare, and an unwavering determination to endure. The first clash between the Spanish settlers and the Comanche was not a chance meeting, but a declaration of power. The Spaniards, settled near San Antonio with hopes of converting the Plains Apaches, saw their plans shattered in a single thunderous raid. As the Spanish and Apaches forged a fragile alliance, the Comanche responded with a calculated strike. Under a blood-red sunset, 2,000 Comanche warriors, their faces streaked with war paint of red and black, thundered across the plains toward Mission San Saba. Clad in stolen European armor, wielding muskets, lances, and bows, they became a fearsome force that no fort or prayer could repel. The Spaniards, outnumbered and outmatched, fought desperately but fell under the relentless assault. The Comanches' war cries echoed through the blood-soaked air as they claimed victory, scalping fallen enemies in a ritual as old as the land itself. With fire and fury, they reduced the mission to smoldering ruins, leaving nothing but ash and a warning of what defiance would bring. That raid was only the beginning. The settlers soon learned that the southern plains belonged to the Comanche, and every hearth and outpost lived in the shadow of their might. The memory of their raids burned in frontier legends, unforgettable and unrelenting, like the wind sweeping across the endless prairie. For generations, the Comanche rode like the wind across the vast southwestern plains, driven by an insatiable need for survival and dominance. Horses, mules, and captives were the prizes of their raids, and their relentless campaigns reshaped the fate of every settlement and tribe in their path. Before the 1820s, Spanish and Mexican ranches scattered across Texas bore the brunt of their wrath. No outpost was safe from the thunder of Comanche hooves. Settlers lived in constant fear, their lives ruled by the possibility of a sudden raid under the endless Texas sky. One such raid in 1836 would change history. On a fateful day, 9-year-old Cynthia Ann Parker was torn from her frontier home in North Texas. Bound to the back of a swift Comanche horse, she was carried deep into the plains, vanishing into the heart of Comanche territory. But captivity turned into belonging. Cynthia Ann became one of them, adopted into the tribe, raised in their traditions, and eventually marrying the respected chief Peta Nocona. Together they had 3 children, including Quanah Parker, who would rise to become the last great war chief of the Comanche, a bridge between 2 worlds, born of survival, loss, and destiny. Their story stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of the Comanche, a people who lived fiercely and left an indelible mark on the land they called home. Under the silver glow of the Comanche moon, when the plains were bathed in haunting light, the Comanche launched their most daring raids deep into Mexican territory, sometimes reaching within sight of Mexico City itself. To the Comanche, the full moon was both guide and ally, illuminating the vast expanse as they rode swift and silent, ready to strike with calculated precision. Their most infamous campaign came in the wake of betrayal, the Council House Fight of 1840. Seeking peace, a Comanche delegation entered San Antonio to negotiate the release of prisoners. Instead, treachery erupted. Violence engulfed the council house, leaving 35 Comanche dead, including 12 chiefs, while the surviving women and children were imprisoned by the Texans. 7 Texans also lost their lives in the bloody skirmish. The Comanche answer was swift and merciless. A few months later, vengeance thundered across the Texas plains. Chief Buffalo Hump led 500 hardened warriors on a campaign of fiery retribution known as the Great Raid of 1840. Towns like Victoria and Linville fell before their wrath, their homes reduced to ash, their people scattered or slain. In the chaos, 25 settlers perished, while the Comanche seized supplies, horses, and dignity stolen from their people. The burning ruins left in their wake were not just destruction, they were a warning etched into the earth, a defiant proclamation that no betrayal would go unanswered under the Comanche moon. As the smoke of the Civil War faded, chaos gripped the western frontier. On one side stood the advancing tide of industrialized settlers driven by ambition and hunger for land. On the other, the Comanche, unyielding guardians of the vast, untamed plains, fought to hold the last fragments of their world. The frontier, carved with sweat and blood, began to retreat. Settlers abandoned lands west of San Antonio, fleeing from relentless Comanche raids. Their flight marked a reversal of manifest destiny itself, a testament to the power of a tribe whose warriors rode with the force of a storm, daring to defy the inevitable. But even the fiercest flame can be smothered. In 1871, the U.S. Army sent Colonel Ranald S. Mackenzie, a hardened Civil War veteran, to crush Comanche resistance. His campaign targeted the heart of Comanche territory, west of San Antonio and across the rugged Llano Estacado, a land uncharted and unforgiving. The Comanche's greatest strength, their dependence on the buffalo, became their fatal weakness. As settlers systematically exterminated the buffalo, the plains grew silent, and hunger gnawed at the edges of Comanche resilience. Their lifeblood drained, they faced their final stand. The Red River War erupted, a bitter and bloody struggle stretching over years. In brutal battles fought in the windswept canyons of the Texas Panhandle, the U.S. Army crushed the last great Comanche resistance. The mighty warriors who once ruled the plains were driven onto a reservation in what is now Oklahoma. Thus ended an era carved from courage, war, and freedom. Though forced from their lands, The spirit of the Comanche endures, like the wind that still howls through the plains they once called home.